Today, we're back in the Washtenaw County Michigan courtroom of Judge Erane Washington. We have a friendly landlord-tenant relationship that's soured because the tenant wants the Ritz, yet wants to pay nothing for it. Now that the landlord finally sued for $12,000 in possession, the tenant seems to be grasping at straws, trying anything he can think of. Let's roll, law nerds.
The court will call the matter of Carl Birch and Sandra Birch versus Tracy Tucker and Leah Tucker, case number 24C6965. All right, today is the day and time that we scheduled for a hearing in this particular case. And that was done at the request of the Tuckers because they claimed that there were issues with the property for which an abatement was required with respect to the rent before I issued a judgment in this case. Have the parties talked it out since we were here back on January 29th?
No, we have not, Your Honor. We exchanged materials last night around 4:30. That was this basically summed up the meeting between us. Just handed off documentation.
All right, and when you say documentation, are we referring to the pictures that I have and to the certificate of compliance and the additional paperwork that was attached to that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. So the way the process works, because I know that both of you are in pro per.
Pro per is a Latin term that means the same thing as pro se, or acting as your own attorney, which is usually not acting in your own best interest.
Is that you both have an opportunity to do opening statements about the issue that's before the court, and then where you swear you in, and then you will make opening statements. You'll both have an opportunity. I'm going to mute Mr. Tucker because I can't hear you now. All right. Thank you. So you'll both have the opportunity to make opening statements. And then after that, I will take testimony. All right, Mr. And Mrs. Birch, this is your opportunity to make your opening statement. Who is going to speak for you? We'll hear from one of you as to the opening statement.
I will, Your Honor.
Right.
Thank you for taking the time. Basically, what we are requesting is a money order in the amount of $13,534.13, $12,500 that being rent, $904.13 being water, and court fees, $130. And we're asking that the tenant be evicted as well.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Tucker, what would you like to say in terms of your opening statement, sir?
Well, what I'm claiming is that we have a lot of mold in the house and mildew in the house, and it's a lot of things that needed to be fixed over the years that I've been here, and that never got fixed. It's like when they have a inspection, you know, he would call me, and you know, one time he told me don't let them in because they wasn't ready for it, and I didn't let the inspection people in, and he would also
Mr.
send
Tucker,
me.
Mr. Tucker.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't get in the back and forth about what he said versus what you said. You're claiming that there are things that are not properly working. I need to know what your allegations are around those.
I feel like the rent was too high for me when they went up on the rent on me, and that.
Sir, I'm not getting into that. The issue is, what are you saying is not working, broken, or molded?
Well, we have old carpet that's been here since we got here in 2011. That's never been changed. We have a broken refrigerator lining that's caused a lot of leak in the refrigerator, and we have a lot of mold under the stove and the refrigerator on the floor. We have a lot of mold in my daughter's room, like towards the attic. It's a bunch of mold, and we have a lot of black mold under the kitchen sink. I have a window in the kitchen that been broken for about 3 years, and I have mentioned that. they seen it in the inspection because my wife showed them everything in the inspection, and they said that they were going to replace it, the maintenance guy, and they never did. And I have a hot water heater that's you can see like the wires is visible, and they said they were going to come out and cover those wires up. And then I have leaks in the bathroom, leaks in the laundry room above the water heater. And like they took these screen doors were broken, and they were so old that they took them off, and like my electric bill goes up high because I got wind and everything that comes through the cracks of the doors. I've been here since 2011, and I have a lot of windows. All the windows they don't lock. They've been broken ever since we moved in. They never locked since 2011. That was mentioned, and it never got fixed. Pretty much, it's pretty much it. A lot of my kids, they've been getting sick because of the mold and the mildew, and we have a lot of mold in the house.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Birch, we'll be open. Well, first of all, both parties, the opening arguments are now over. I will now take testimony from Mr. Birch. Do you want to go first, or is your wife testifying first? Who's testifying, please?
I'll testify, Your Honor.
All right. You are already on oath. You may proceed.
Okay. First, Your Honor, as I think you brought up last meeting, we have nothing in writing in reference to this, Your Honor. Anytime and we have a string of texts that I should have provided for you, we communicated back up until October, and if he indicated he needed something done, typically it was taken care of. I didn't see anything that wasn't taken care of that he had indicated. You have the pictures in front of you, Your Honor. The mold that he's speaking of, if you look, a lot of it's in the bathroom under the sink, Your Honor. That's bleach and water. I mean, that's grout. That is caulk. First of all, the township would not approve or give C of O if there's mold present. If there's broken windows, they will not approve, Your Honor. And you can see we have the C of O. When it comes to the water heater, the wires that you see in the water heater are properly run. You have the picture in front of you. So these items, we had to take the screen door off the front because we replaced it once, and we had to keep coming out because of the abuse on the screen door. If the back door has a broken window, which I was never made aware of, I would have removed that because they have a problem keeping their screen doors, obviously, without breaking. Never had any indication of the locks on any windows. So a number of these items that he's indicating, I've never been made aware of, Your Honor.
Okay. Can you please establish your rental contract situation, when it started, when it ended, or when it started and where we are now, and
Yes,
why you say you owe this amount of rents, please?
when we started, I believe it was at $1,200. We are currently up to $1,500. And not that it matters, but he's my lowest tenant price-wise. We've always tried to work with him, Your Honor. We worked with him through Sierra. We worked with him through DHS. We tried to help him get a new place. As of a couple months ago, you have the letter in front of you where they requested information, which I provided, which you can see. It was a nice letter I gave to the company that he wanted to rent from, where I indicated that if the rent was lower, I would rent back to him, trying to help him get a place. I don't know how else I can help. We put off his, we've worked with him since 2003. You have that financial letter in front of you from 2023, 2024, 2025. It shows his pay history. Your Honor, we worked with him for the last 2-3 years, just trying to help get him caught up, and he never can.
So far, based on the plaintiff's testimony, I'm inclined to believe them when they say they have been trying to work with him. I don't think they'd have any reason to fabricate verifiable government liaisons in furtherance of that goal. Contrast that with the defendant, whose indignant head shaking is missing only his hands over his ears.
The letter that you're saying is in front of me.
Yes, ma'am. You'll see a letter. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Your Honor.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I was going to say the letter you'll see is a letter from, I believe, Lake in the Woods, if I'm not mistaken, or Lake Point. You'll see it at the back, and that's the letter that they sent to me asking for information on Mr. Tucker and his wife.
All right.
And-
So what you're referring to as a letter is actually a
Yeah, it was a landlord verification, it says.
landlord verification form. That's not really a letter. It's a form that outlines who the landlord is, whether the person is late on rent or not,
Yes.
and whether they abided by the rules, and et cetera. And Mr. Tucker, you have that particular document, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Any objection to that document being admitted?
Yes, I object because, like I said, we moved here in May 3rd, 2011. And they did take over, I believe, in 2012. And also, I did provide proof of the things that needed to be fixed in writing because he told me to write it all down.
Sir, I'm not asking all that yet. I'm only asking whether you're objecting to this letter being admitted.
Yes, I object to it because my wife was never on the lease. None of the leases. We only got 2 leases from Ed since we've been here.
Right, thank you.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. All right, that objection is overruled. I don't think that has any bearing on whether or not this letter exists or whether it's a legitimate letter. It does appear to be, so it'll be admitted as exhibit 1. Is there any, this, as I see this lease, it indicates that as of January 1st, 2023, there was a rent adjustment notification that says the rent was increased to $1,300 per month.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Is there additional documentation that shows the $1,500 per month?
I may have that, Your Honor.
Do you have a ledger?
I do, ma'am. You have it in front of you.
Okay.
And you can see where Mr. Tucker was paying the $1,500. Matter of fact, he paid $1,600 to try to catch up at one point.
All right, and so that is the document that is labeled Esnes Properties LLC rent roll. Is that what you're referring to as the ledger?
That is correct, ma'am. And
All right.
S Properties is the managing company on that property, which we own. Yeah.
Are you moving for admission of that particular document, sir?
Yeah, yes, please, Your Honor.
Any objection to admission of the Esna Properties LLC rent roll, Mr. Tucker?
No objections. No objections. No objections.
Is that your final answer, Tracy?
The Esna Properties LLC rent roll document will be admitted as exhibit number 3.
He made a $1,000 payment in September. That was the last payment I received from him in 2024, Your Honor, and that was only a partial payment. He hasn't made a payment since.
Thank you. Leaving a balance at this time of
$12,400 for his current rent.
thank you. And then you indicated in your opening that there was a water bill.
Yeah, the water bill as of yesterday jumped up to $904.13, Your Honor. It was due yesterday. If you got in by yesterday, it would have been $902.06, but it jumped up to $904.13 after yesterday. And then the court fee that we were charged to bring this case, $130, for a total of $13,534.13.
Now, as far as the water bill is concerned, I believe you attached the documents.
Yes, I did, Your Honor. If we could submit that as evidence.
All right, the water bill will be Exhibit 4. Any objection to Exhibit 4, which is the water bill?
I object. I have a leak in the tub, and I have a leak in the bathroom toilet, and that's never been fixed either. So I object. That's probably why my water bill is up so high.
Thank you. I have heard the objections made by the defendant as to the water bill because of leaks. That is a dispute as to the amount that he should have to pay from that water bill, but that's not a basis for not admitting the exhibit. The exhibit shall be admitted. And you can make arguments about that when it's your turn, Mr. Tucker, about what amount you think you should or should not have to pay. All right. So I've heard about the rents. I've heard about the water, and I've also heard about the court fees. All right. Is there any other evidence that you want the court to accept it into the record today?
Yes, ma'am. I don't believe that we've entered in the township certificate of compliance.
Okay, please testify as to what the relevance of that document is.
That is the semi-annual inspection of the properties by the township that indicates that the property is inhabitable and meets all of their requirements for a C of O for someone to live there. And that was as of 4/27/20, and it's good through 4/27/2026.
All right, so the inspection in this particular case occurred when, sir?
In September of 2024.
Any objection to admission of the final certificate of compliance?
Yes, ma'am. I object. Like I said, it was they did have the inspection, and it was things that needed to be fixed that didn't still get fixed, and that's my objection.
Do you think maybe if the landlord and the township both say it doesn't need to get fixed, it doesn't really need to get fixed? If he doesn't like it, perhaps he should move out. It sure sounds like the plaintiffs would be more than willing to break the lease and give him a glowing recommendation.
Mr. Birch, do you have any other evidence that you need to admit today?
I believe that's all I have provided you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do you have any questions, Mr. Tucker, for the Birches?
I really don't have any questions, but I know a lot of this is a lie. I know a lot of this is a lie. I really trusted this guy, and a lot of this is a lie.
Mr. Tucker, you're going to get a chance to make your arguments in just one moment. Right now,
Yes, ma'am.
what I'm asking is whether you have questions of the Birches.
My question is, why didn't things get fixed in here? And you asked me to write out a list, and I did. And these were years ago, and a lot of the stuff just was never fixed. And my question is that, we had, I always communicated with you guys and let you guys know, like, about my health.
That's a question, sir. That's not a question.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I
Right.
don't have anything to say. I don't have nothing to say.
You said some things. I will reword it as a question for you. So, Mr. Birch, or Mrs. Birch, whoever wants to, um, did you have Mr. Tucker write out a list of things that needed to be repaired?
If we did, Your Honor, it would have been early on, that's standard. And I don't find anything in my records that show that we were ever given a list of items that need to be taken care of.
Mhm. Um, were there points in time that they ever provided you with notice of items that needed to be taken care of?
Yes, Your Honor. And
Mm.
periodically, and typically when I would pick up rent from him, and that was my standard, I would gladly go over and pick up rent. Your Honor, we had a good relationship. And I would go over and I would ask him point blank, do you have anything that needs to be done? Every month. And typically he would tell me this needs it or this needs it. And then we'd try to take care of that for him.
Right, he mentioned a number of things. Old carpet. Do you, um, did he ever request that the carpet be replaced?
No, ma'am. He's got a picture, I believe, in the pictures he provided of the carpet. I see a wear spot. I see it's very dirty, but I was never asked to replace the carpet.
There he goes again, shaking his head like that. That's not helping his cause at all.
Whose responsibility per the lease is it to clean the carpet?
There is none. The responsibilities for maintaining the home, the interior of the home is his unless it's a health and welfare issue.
Well, I don't think the law allows you to shift it like that, Mr. Birch. Just
I'm
so
sorry.
future reference, it doesn't allow you to shift repairs.
No. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant general cleanliness and those kind of things.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I apologize. Yeah.
Um, let's see, he said there's a broken refrigerator lining. Have you ever heard about that?
They had a refrigerator that went bad. They picked up their own refrigerator, Your Honor, and I reimbursed them for that refrigerator. And that's the last I knew of any issue with the refrigerator.
What about mold and mildew in the home?
The mold that I see in his pictures are typically the grout and the caulking in the bathroom. He indicated something in this underneath the sink. Your Honor, I can't speak to how they clean their home, but typically that would be bleach and water to rectify any mold in the bathroom. If I were to send in someone, that's exactly what they would do. They'd spray the walls with bleach and water half and half and wipe down the walls. That's typically what you would do in those situations.
There is a picture of a broken door handle. It looks like to a patio door. Have you seen that picture?
I've never seen that picture, Your Honor. Oh, I've seen the pictures that were provided, yeah, but it was never brought to my attention.
Okay, so he did not notify you about this broken door handle?
No, ma'am.
All right. Glass door. It's a screen door with a glass in it.
Correct.
That is broken. Were you notified about that?
I was not, Your Honor, and that would never pass the township inspection. So that must have happened since the inspection. And if so, we haven't had any communication. No rent was paid since September, October. I've got nothing, and I can show you the communications. They got two numbers that they contact me with, and neither one of them say anything about a broken window.
Thank you.
Do keep all their communications, Your Honor, and I printed them out and I should have provided them. I apologize.
Okay, it may not become an issue. He testified that there's a window that has been broken for 3 years.
There again, I was unaware of that window, and the township would not pass with a broken window, Your Honor.
What about leaks in the bathroom?
I don't know of any leak. I know of no leak. And he's talking about leaks in the tub or sinks or whatever. It definitely, I know it can impact the water bill, but I don't know anything about it.
Right. What about a leak above the water heater?
I saw that in the picture, Your Honor, and, I didn't know, I can't say I can see the picture, so obviously there's something there. So I can't say, but I was unaware that that's going on. I can see it's there. So obviously that needs to be addressed.
Mhm.
And that could just be a cover over the vent pipe where water's getting down in or condensation. And that's what the trap's for on the bottom, is to catch any condensation. So I can see it's there and that needs to be replaced. I can see that.
What about the windows that they say that don't lock?
I haven't gone over there to even look at them to try them. I mean, sometimes they need to be jimmied. I don't know when I say jimmied, just moved up. Sometimes they drop down and they won't lock. You got to push them up, pull them down, and then lock them, just like any vinyl window, Your Honor.
You, when's the last time you went over to do any type of inspection?
I typically have my maintenance. His name's Marco. He typically goes over and he meets with the inspectors. I would just go to the door typically and collect rent. I would never really go inside. Periodically I would, but not very often.
Were you inside when the township inspectors did their inspection?
I was not, Your Honor.
Okay. So when is the last time you personally went in and did an inspection yourself?
I went in, Tracy, I don't know. His son was in the living room with his baby. That was the last time I was in the house. That's all I remember. And it might have been 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago.
Okay. All right.
Judge Washington just established the landlord is practicing due care and maintenance of the property.
Mr. Tucker, is there any additional questions based on those questions? And this is not a time for you to argue about what his testimony is or was not. I'm asking you, do you have any additional questions, sir?
I don't have any questions, ma'am. I do not. Oh my God.
Thank you. All right. Any additional, based on those questions, Mr. Tucker, any additional testimony you want to provide from yourself or from your wife? Mr. Birch, I'm sorry, Mr. Birch, that's correct.
I'm sorry.
Any additional questions that you want to, or any additional testimony or evidence you want to submit based on my questions from yourself or from your wife?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, now we will go to Mr. Tucker to take testimony from him. Mr. Tucker, you've had a lot to say during the midst of their particular presentation of their case in chief. It is your time now to present whatever testimony you want to present to me.
Yes, ma'am. If my wife wasn't in that hospital, she would particularly let you guys know that
You can't testify to what she was going to say.
well, she everything is a lie, ma'am. I have always notified Ed when he came to pick up the rent. I have gave him a sheet, a long list. He told me to write it out. I have given it to him. The township did see that broken window. They told my wife that day that they will be out here to replace it. They will give Marco to replace it. He never came back to replace it. The screen doors are so old that Marco tried to fix them about at least 3 times since I've been here. And they just got a lot of holes that's drilled in them. They're really old. And I had asked Ed, could he replace them? And he just said, well, I'll just take them off. He didn't want to buy me new screen doors. He just said I would just take them off. And
Sir, look at any, do you have copies of the pictures that you submitted to me?
yes, ma'am, I have it in my phone.
Mr. Tucker, I hope you're not talking right now, because if you are, we can't hear you. And I'm not telling you to talk, I'm just saying we can't hear you.
Oh no, I'm not talking. I got 2 phones with pictures in them. So I have my main phone and then I have another phone that I took a picture of the screen doors when Marco took them off. They are currently in the garage right now.
He does not deny taking the doors off. His testimony is he had to take those off because they kept being damaged by you or people in your home as a tenant, and therefore it was not in their best interest to keep replacing doors.
No, ma'am, that's not true. That's absolutely not true. We didn't tear up anything in this house. We've been here 13 years, and we cleaned this house. We scrubbed everything in this house, and everything comes right back. I got 2 carpet cleaners that I've been doing myself, trying to clean this carpet, and I have asked Ed to replace it. They came in, they painted this house 1 time out of 13 years. Man, it's just, oh my God, it's just it's overwhelming. I mean, it's just, I can't believe Ed is really saying this. I can't believe he's really saying that he never been aware of anything that's been broken in this home.
Okay, Tracy. Dirt and grime usually do come back after you scrub. That's why folks clean their homes. Carpet has a designed lifespan of 20 years. It's reasonable for a landlord to replace it every 20 years. If you want to have a fresh coat of paint every 5 years, do it yourself. If you'd asked the landlord about it, perhaps they would have bought the materials for you. I think your expectations are too high, dude.
I can't believe
that wasn't his testimony, first of all. But secondly, sir, as far as paint is concerned, it is not unusual for a home to not be painted often. I lived in my home for many, many years without it being painted. As a matter of fact, we moved in, and we didn't paint it for the first 19 years. It looked good. So it depends whether it needs it or not. You don't just paint to repaint.
I mean, I just really can't believe this.
So if you're gonna testify, you need to testify. I'm not gonna sit here and listen to you repeat that you can't believe things. What is it that you want to testify about? And
Everything that I said, like the pictures and everything, ma'am, all the pictures and everything that I have mentioned, I have also mentioned
you
to.
actually haven't mentioned them. He mentioned them. That's why I'm telling you that you need to get them in evidence.
Well,
So
I gave you a set of pictures, and I gave Mr. Birch.
you can give me a set of pictures, sir. It doesn't work that way. Just like he did. He had to go through his evidence to get it on into
Okay,
evidence.
so can I have an inspection out here? Can I get somebody to come out and inspect?
No, that's not what we're here for. No, that's not how that works. If you have pictures you want me to look at, you need to direct me to them and then testify about it so that they can get admitted.
Okay, yeah, man, I gotta get my other phone. And the picture that I want to enter in evidence is definitely the carpet that is wore out. That's in one of the pictures that is wore out. And like I said, the carpet has been bad. And me and my wife both been trying to get the carpet clean, by doing it ourselves. And like I said, I got 2 carpet cleaners, and I've been trying to clean the carpet and try to keep it up as much as I can. But like I said, it's a lot of wear and tear in this carpet. This carpet is really old, and I don't know if my kids are we're getting sick from it. We have a lot of mold in this house, and he mentioned that it was mold under the.
Sir, please slow down. Mr. Tucker, please slow down.
Okay. I have a picture too of the kitchen sink, underneath the kitchen sink.
Mr. Tucker, one moment, please. I'm still trying. You didn't number any of these pictures, and it's a number of them. I'm trying to find the picture that you're referring to.
Yes, ma'am.
I have in my hands here a picture that may be what you're referring to as the carpet picture.
Yes,
you describe that picture so I can make sure I'm looking at the same thing.
Okay, it's like a walkway of the door right there, and it looked like a patch is missing.
Walkway of the door. 1 second. I don't see a patch missing.
So you're looking at the other picture where I was showing how the carpet is wore out.
I doubt that you can. Can you see this? Can you look at the camera? Mr. Tucker,
Ma'am.
can you look at the camera?
Okay.
Can you see that? Can you unmute, please? Can you unmute, please? Can you unmute, please? Can you unmute, please?
He doesn't know enough to mute his damn phone and doesn't listen. He's going to do well here.
Is that it?
Yes. Can you see this at all?
Yes, ma'am.
Which one is this, please?
That's a picture of just the carpet, or how the carpet is so old. That's why I took a picture of that part.
All right. Do you have any objection to, well, when did you take this picture, sir?
I took it like maybe a couple weeks ago.
You said maybe. I can't, that's speculative. When did you take the picture, sir?
I took it 2 weeks ago on a Saturday,
All right.
Saturday morning.
Any objection? Is this picture a representation of the carpet as it looked 2 weeks ago on that Saturday morning?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Any objection to admission of the carpet picture exhibit number as defense exhibit number 1?
No, ma'am.
All right. It will be admitted.
No, that's just a picture of the old vent. That's just a picture of the vent that I took.
Okay.
Your Honor, I believe
Yeah.
it looks like this. If you look at the screen, it looks like this.
Okay, let me try to find that one. I don't see that.
Your Honor, I have no problem with that being admitted. If you want to just, I know this is being recorded, so if you want to use this, I have no problem it being recorded.
All right, thank you. I'll use that as exhibit 2.
Okay.
The problem is that, oh wait, nope, that's not it either. This is exhibit 1.
That is exactly, that's the kitchen window that's been broken for about 3 years. That's the one that was supposed to get fixed when we had the inspection. It never been fixed, and I mentioned it 3 years ago.
Have you mentioned it since then?
Yes, ma'am.
When was this picture taken, sir?
I took that picture 2 weeks, actually that Saturday 2 weeks ago.
Sir, are all of these pictures taken that Saturday 2 weeks ago?
Most of them, and then I have a lot of the pictures from when maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
That's like the mold and everything like that, and
Sir, we're gonna have to go through them one by one since
Your Honor, I know it's not my time to speak, but if it's okay, I don't mind if all the pictures you have are submitted as evidence.
all right.
Instead of going one by one, I don't care if all of them are submitted as evidence.
All
Your
right,
Honor.
thank you. We'll just admit the remaining pictures as exhibit number 3. I need to be able to distinguish between whether these pictures were taken from 5 years ago, as you said, or from 2 weeks ago, whether it still exists or it doesn't exist. I need testimony about that.
everything that I have been taken from 5 years ago to 2 weeks ago has always been in this house, and every single picture, everything always existed. I always mention it.
So what you're saying is that even though you may have taken the picture 5 years ago, the condition still exists as it at this time as it did 5 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. And with respect to then I guess I'll have to ask questions. With respect to the broken glass door, what is your testimony about when that occurred, sir?
Throughout the years, like I said, I've been here 13 years, and the screen doors are very, very old. And the maintenance guy would come out, he would drill holes in it. He would fix it, and then it would come back loose. And that's why I said we never damaged anything. And you could, if I could take a picture, or if you was able to see the door itself, you would see all the different holes that the maintenance guy came out and drilled into those doors. And with
Sir,
the
because
back
you have
door,
holes in the door to keep them on, that doesn't affect anything. My question really is, I'm looking at duct tape over the glass on the door.
yes, ma'am. When that occurred, the door itself, like it just slams. Like when you walk out, it just slams, and that was like a plexiglass or something like that, and it just cracked. So I just put tape. I just put tape up there, and I mentioned it, and it never got replaced.
When did that occur?
It occurred probably about 2 years. About 2 years ago. It's been.
So you're telling
like that.
me that you want me to believe that the inspectors came out, saw this like that, and said nothing about it and approved it and passed it?
Well now. I mean, duct tape on a clear glass door doesn't stick out at all. The inspectors would never notice.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. My wife. I wish my wife was here. She would tell you because she walked around with the inspector that day, pointing out everything that needed to be done in the house, and they said that they was going to get everything fixed for us.
Okay.
And we
All
had a
right.
we had a female inspector that day,
All right. Thank you.
ma'am.
Um, it- I have a picture here of a door. Um, I don't know what this is. What's your testimony regarding this?
Can I see that? Oh yeah, that is that's the front door, and that's when they took the screen off. That's when they removed the screen. I'm just saying, like the air just flows through the door, which automatically makes my heat pop on. So I was just showing the gap in between that door.
And what is this picture here?
That is a window that's been broken for years in my daughter's room, and it has a little mold, and we try to scrub those window seals, and it just comes right back.
What is this a picture of?
That's the picture of the bathroom ceiling. Um, like I said, they painted over it, and it came right back.
And what's this a picture of?
That goes to the water heater. That's on top of the water heater. It leaks when it got snow on the roof or we got rain. It always leaks, and I always go in there and I have to mop that water up. I also mentioned that
What's this a picture of?
that's the kitchen sink that has the mold on it, black mold on it.
Did anyone try to clean this?
Yes, me and my wife, we both scrubbed that. We both scrubbed it, and it just comes right back, Your Honor.
What's this a picture of?
That's just a picture of the house itself, where you can see like the roof, and you know the roof is very old. It needs to be fixed. They're supposed to fix it in 2019, but they never did.
What's this a picture of?
That's a picture of the garage back there, where you can see that the gutter part. The house is old, Your Honor.
What's this a picture of?
Now that is a picture of the back of the toilet. When Marco came out, I told him that it was broken, and all he did was take it and flip it around towards the wall.
I don't think I understand the orientation or something. I can't make heads or tails of this. I mean, I can see there's a toilet. When you say flip it around towards the wall, what do you mean?
The you know how the back of the toilet, how I show where it's a leak, where I have to sometimes go in there and try to screw it down. So you take the back of the toilet off.
Are you talking about
That
the toilet tank?
Yes, ma'am.
And what
You
you
know
talking
that
about?
that right there had broken, and then I mentioned it to Marco. Marco just took it and just flipped it around. Instead of replacing it, he just turned it towards the wall.
Oh, this is before it was turned towards the wall?
No, that's actually when it was turned towards the wall. I just took it off and just took a picture of it.
I don't really understand the orientation of it.
He was supposed to replace it. It broken, and he was supposed to replace it. And all he did was come out and he just took the tank part off and flipped it around, turned it around.
I did hear you say that a number of times.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
what is this, please?
That is the inside, the leak, the refrigerator leak, because of the seal, the bottom of the refrigerator.
What is this?
That is a piece of tape that holds the refrigerator together because it don't stick.
What is this?
That's an old cabinet that the door keeps flying over. I had to put tape on that.
What is this?
That's a crack in my bedroom on top of the wall. That is a crack where it leaks a little bit.
Leaks what?
Leaks water
Where?
in my bedroom.
I know
above
where
my bed.
this is.
On
This is,
the ceiling.
I don't see any evidence of leaks on in this picture, sir.
No, it just see when it rains or when the snow melts on top of the roof.
I understand
got-
that. I know how leaks
Yeah.
work. I don't see any evidence that there was ever a leak in here.
I just took a picture of the crack, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
So, if water has been leaking through that crack in your ceiling for any length of time, there would be a stain on it from all the dirt and grime on the roof floating around in the water.
What is this?
That is the window that doesn't lock.
I don't think that's a window. Is that a window?
Yep. They so old. They so old. That's the window. That's the front. That's the front window of the house.
And what is this a picture of, sir?
That is some of that right in front of the refrigerator. That's where that mold and mildew is right under it. It goes under the refrigerator too. We try to scrub that, and it comes right back.
What is that a
That's
picture of?
that is how old that vent is. I just took a picture of the vent, and that's in my daughter's room. How old it was.
What is this a picture of, sir?
That is the hot water heater with the wire showing, and
And what is this a picture of, sir? It looks like the hot
oh,
water.
that right there is that. Yep, that is right underneath the cabinet. That's the black mold I was telling you about underneath the kitchen cabinet.
Oh, this is a kitchen cabinet, black mold.
Yes, ma'am. That's under the sink. That's right under the sink.
How many bedrooms are in this house, sir?
It's 3.
Any basement?
No, ma'am.
Do you know what size the house is?
It's a small house, but I don't know what size. I don't. It's a small house though.
All right. Anything else you want to testify to today, sir?
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. To the Birches, do you have questions that you want to ask?
I can't think of any, Your Honor. No, I have no questions.
Thank you. Any other testimony or evidence from you, Mr. Tucker?
No, ma'am. That was all the evidence I have.
Thank you. Mr. Birch, I do have a couple questions for you based on his testimony.
Yes, ma'am. And just real quick, it's 1,088 square foot, Your Honor. You
Thank
asked a question.
That was my question to you. That's how,
Okay.
what's the size? And
Yeah.
it's a 3-bedroom
Yes, ma'am. Mhm.
and no basement?
No basement, it's got a crawl space.
Mr. Tucker, I have a question for you. Do you have any proof of anything in writing that you've ever provided to the Birches requesting that these items be fixed?
No, ma'am. I used to just write it out like he told me and just hand it to him, and I never did a copy of anything because that's how good of a relationship we had.
And unfortunately, that's how issues happen. All right, thank you. All right, closing argument.
Oh, man.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Birch. I'm sorry, I should have.
Okay. As Mr. Tucker indicated, I believed we had a good relationship. And unfortunately, now that I'm asking for him to be removed and asking for garnishment potentially, you obviously can't, you're going to do a money judgment. But now it's become volatile and I'm a terrible landlord all of a sudden, instead of working with him for the last, 6 years since I've owned the property. So that, and I'm not going to contest some of these items. I wish he would have brought it to my attention, or he said he told Marco. If Marco doesn't tell me he's my handyman, I would not necessarily know that these items need to be done. Or if we had communications through our text, which they don't have any problem texting back and forth, why he hadn't put them in text so we had something in writing, but we don't. So that I personally don't have anything wrong with Tracy. It's unfortunate that we got to this point because I did care about his family. I still do. But he can't live. He didn't even make an attempt to pay a dime since last October. And that's a shame, Your Honor. I understand times are hard. He's got a daughter. He's got physical things that he was going through. I understand that. Now you can see through the history. I've tried to work with him, but unfortunately, he didn't even see fit to pay me anything. So I guess that's where I'm at, Your Honor. That's my closing statement.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. Birch. Mr. Tucker.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we did have a good relationship. We did pray together. I sent him a picture of my daughter in the hospital a few months ago when she did her first chemo. I liked it, and you know my family liked it and everything, and we trusted it. That's why we paid cash to him, and you know I never asked for like a receipt or anything like that because I figure this is a good guy. He always would keep it real with me. Um, I never like talked to Marco. I never had Marco's number and that like that. That's the maintenance guy, but I always would tell Ed, and Ed would say, well, okay, well I'll send Marco out. And a lot of times Marco didn't show when a lot of these things needed to be done in the house. A lot of times Ed would say, I would tell him like when he come and get the rent, I would say, well, man, Marco didn't show Ed, and he was like, okay, well, I'll give him another call and I'll let him know this and this and that, needs to be done. And I just never seen Marco, and it just throughout the years, a lot of things. But when I got behind is, my mother passed away last May on May 3rd, she passed away. And I had to help my two sisters, help bury my mom. I explained that to Ed and everything. And in the midst of that, my daughter was still going through chemo treatment. DHS kept cutting off my daughter's insurance. So we had, we had piles of bills from the hospital, and then they would cut it back on, and then, they would take some of the bills down, and we didn't have to pay that much. But we were going through a tough financial thing, and we were trying our best to call every agency that we could. If they just always denied us. And I was calling agencies when I was at when I owed Ed like 3,100. I was calling them then trying to get help with the rent, trying to get help. They would always deny me and my wife for some reason. They would not help us. They used to tell me that the DHS told me that I needed a actual eviction. So me and my wife, when it was like about 3,000, me and my wife used to say, hey Ed, can you just go ahead and write us out an eviction? He said, Tracy, I don't want to do that to you. I said, well, if that's going to help us get the rent paid, I'm gonna probably need you to go ahead and write the eviction. And he just never, he never wrote me out the eviction to get the help. And that's what, in one of those letters that the DHS I had gave them a 7-day notice that he had wrote out for me. They said that they need the actual eviction in order for us to get the help. And all these agencies just wouldn't help us, and they just was denying us and everything like that. So
Anything else?
no, ma'am.
I've heard testimony from both sides and received evidence from both sides, asked plenty of questions about the scenario here. It is really sad when these landlord-tenant relationships sour, especially when you've had a really good relationship that ends up in this space. The reality is that the law is very clear about what everybody's roles are and what the requirements are. The requirement for the landlord is to keep a place habitable. I have a certificate of occupancy. I've been doing this work for about 4 years, and I am very familiar with what the requirements are regarding those. They do a very thorough inspection in order to ensure that the place is compliant. I've also had my places inspected, so I'm aware of how thorough they are as inspectors. And I taking that into consideration, along with the pictures that I've seen, and along with the fact that as a tenant, the law requires that if there are issues with a home, then they are to be provided to the landlord in written format, and the court does not have proof that any of that was provided in written format. In addition to that, if the tenant is going to try to withhold rent because of those issues in the home, then they need to place that money into escrow. There is no evidence that any monies were ever placed into escrow. I do have a copy of the ledger in this case. I find that it is a valid ledger of how the rents were collected and how the amounts were supposed to be paid and how they were paid. And I accept that the amount owed at this time is the $12,500 in rent. $904.13 in water, and $130 in court costs. I will give some amount of abatement though, due to the fact that there are some issues that need to be resolved in the home. I wanted to know the square footage so I could get an idea of what the normal amount of rent should be for that size of property. The rents in this community have gone up tremendously over the last few years, and $1,500 for rent is not um, um, excessive. Um, However, when I look at it in the context of everything that's been presented in terms of the pictures, I am going to give some abatement for the last 14 months. I'm going to give a $200 abatement, giving $2,800 in abatement towards the rent, leaving the total amount that is going to be owed in rent at,
You said 2,800, Your Honor?
yes,
That's $9,700, I believe.
I think I came up with a different number, but one second.
Oh, well, let me check.
$10,734.13.
10,000.
$734.13.
Oh, that's from the total.
That's from the, oh, you're right. That's why I did it wrong. You're
Yeah.
correct. So that's gonna be the total that is owed now.
So the rent you're taking down to 9,700, Your Honor,
Correct,
with the abatement?
correct.
Okay.
Mr. Tucker, if you have issues in the future with the landlord, first of all, you should write down and put in writing, regardless of the relationship, what your requests are and keep copies of that. Secondly, if you're going to withhold rent, which I don't think is what was going on here, but if you are going to withhold rent, then you need to put that in escrow, either with the court or with in a bank account for escrow. So Mr. Tucker, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to issue a judgment for that particular amount. $10,734.13. It will be a money judgment as well as a possession judgment, and you'll have 10 days from the date that I sign the order to move, or Mr. Birch can come in on the 11th day and request a writ of eviction against you. Does anyone have any questions?
I don't have any.
Go ahead, Tracy. I'm sorry.
I don't have any questions, but yeah, we will definitely get this move going then.
Okay.
Your Honor, on the writ of eviction, is that the time the sheriff will be there on the 11th day, or is that?
The way it works, sir, is he gets until whatever that 11th day is. You can come in here and then you bring me the writ of eviction. I sign that, and then you have to take it out to the sheriff. I mean, I can't give you legal advice, but you have to find a process
Right.
server to serve it.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. So you need to prepare a judgment though to this effect, to everything I just said. So you have to bring the judgment in here for me to sign it.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, I have to bring the judgment in? You're
Yeah,
gonna,
you fill it out, bring it in, I sign it.
on the 11th day?
No, you got to bring the judgment in as soon as possible.
Okay.
So there are two things that are going to happen. One is you have the judgment. You got to bring that in so that I can sign it. Then at
Okay.
the end of the 11th day is when you get your writ of eviction if he hasn't moved. Then you have to come in here with your writ of, well, first of all, they can pay that entire amount or they can move. So they have a right to stay, pay or stay. So they have a right to pay to stay, I should say. So they either pay or move, pay or move.
Correct.
If they do either of those, then you're not entitled to a writ of eviction because they're gone, right? Or they pay. After that, sir, you need to come in here with your writ of eviction filled out so that I can sign it, and then you have to figure out how to get it served.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, you guys are all set. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoy watching this content, please like and subscribe. It helps new channels like this one gain exposure. There is a lot more good court to come, so if you like what you saw, tell your friends. If you didn't, tell me, and let me know what you'd like to see and how I can improve. Thanks.